If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with another CD collection update for you guys. As you can see, I got a much bigger stack this time than the previous update where I tested out the new GoPro camera, and well, I was wanting to do this update because, like I said, I got a pretty big stack right here, and this will probably be the last update you're going to get until I get back from a vacation I'm taking in early May. So there might be a week where I won't be doing anything in May. That's because I will be away on a vacation in Tennessee. And yeah, every time I go to Tennessee, I always go to this one record shop called the Rhythm Section, which is inside of a mall in downtown Gatlinburg. But I did find another record shop that's on the outskirts of the Smoky Mountains and Knoxville called Basement Records that I'm going to be curious to check out because I've seen their pictures of their CD selection. And they got a pretty good selection, I would say. So, yeah, I'm going to be visiting those two shops, seeing what all I can get. But for now, we've got almost 30 albums right here that I got to go through. So let's kick off with a pair. We have a pair from Angerot. We have their second album, The Divine Obstate, which is the inverted edition because it comes with some live tracks and remixes of songs, as well as a cover of Bloodbath's Eaten, which is actually a pretty solid cover. So I got this one and their latest album, The Profound Recreant. So yeah, both, I mean, Angerot is a band that I've started to kind of dig as of late, especially after checking out this album. They're from South Dakota, and yet they're playing Swedish death metal with a touch of black metal and a little bit of symphonic elements kind of thrown in there just to kind of make everything sound a little bit more evil. I haven't listened to this album yet, The Divine Obstate, but I definitely will check it out. Now, The Profound Recreant, I did do a little review on it on my latest, or one of my latest Under the Radar episodes, where I really dug it. After all, these guys are like the bloodbath of the Great Plains of America, and it's really cool to hear death metal going in places that you never expected to come from, like South Dakota, for example. But yeah, this is a really cool upcoming band. I do have their debut album coming in the mail very soon. I do have a couple of albums coming that will be shown in the next update. But yeah, Angerot, check him out if you haven't. And now we get into some sludgy territory for these next couple. We got COC, or Corrosion of Conformity, with Blind. So yeah, this is the first COC album I have in my collection. I do want to get a couple of the albums that came out after this, but I also want to get, like, Animosity and the God damn it, how the hell do you pronounce it? Technocracy, or Technocracy? Technocracy, there we go. I think I nailed it. Technocracy EP, back during their more crossover thrash period. But yeah, this was definitely the first one when they kind of pretty much moved away from their hardcore and punk roots and more straight up metal. And this is kind of like southern metal, sludge, really good stuff. I do remember the song Vote with a Bullet off of this album. That was a pretty big hit back in the early 90s. And I remember seeing that music video on YouTube, and really good song. I haven't listened to this whole album yet, because I just got so many other things I've been listening to, like getting ready for my immolation ranking and also trying to keep up on everything else that's new. But when the time comes, I will definitely give this a listen, and could be a retro review in the future. Then again, I rarely do retro reviews anymore, but yeah, definitely check this out. And speaking of more sludge, we finally got some Crowbar in my collection, as I got Sonic XS in its purest form. Again, I haven't listened to it yet, but I did pick it up based off of watching my boys at the Thralls do the Crowbar ranking, and Nick had this as his number 1, and everybody else had it pretty high too. I've been wanting to get into more Crowbar. Then again, when it comes down to sludge metal, I'm not the biggest fan of sludge metal. I have to really like the band to get into it. But Crowbar, just based off of the songs I have listened to from Crowbar, they know how to write riffs and grooves and make you feel just pissed off and sad at the same time. So yeah, I actually do have another Crowbar album on the way. But yeah, I got this one because it was also pretty cheap online. But yeah, Crowbar. All hail Kirk. And now we're going to get into some goofy death metal with Death Breath's Stinking Up the Night. So this one I wanted to check out. I've listened to it on YouTube. It's a fucking fun album. After all, this is Nick Anderson from Entombed and the Helicopters. This was pretty much his attempt at getting back to his death metal roots by playing that more classic HM2 death metal, but with a little bit more fun and a little more comedy on top of it. After all, Stinking Up the Night, Death Breath. Excuse me. That should pretty much explain to you that this is going to be silly. But yeah, it's very punky, very thrashy at times. It's just a ton of fun to listen to, and Nick just putting on a hell of a performance on all the instruments that he's doing. Drums, and I think he does guitars on here as well. I don't believe he does the vocals. I'd have to go back on to the archives to find out. But yeah, Death Breath, Stinking Up the Night. Now we get to one I got just today, or yesterday when I recorded this. Demolich, 20th Adversary of Emptiness. So I got, again, inspired to pick this up, courtesy of Thralls of Metal, Nick. He showed this off in a recent collection update he'd done. And basically, the thing that sold me on getting this album in particular, aside from Nick, is that not only do you have like the Vanishing Sessions demo tracks, but a better version in terms of the remaster of their classic album Nespith, which I have that reissue of Nespith from Extreme Music. It's solid, but like Nick said, it is pretty brick-walled. So now I have the better version of Nespith, as well as pretty much everything Demolich has done up to this point until they were to maybe do a new album. I would love to hear a new album because Demolich kicks ass. But yeah, it did cost me quite a bit to get this, but it's totally worth it. And it's a thick boy. So yeah, Demolich. Now back onto the sludge, we got Down Nola. Some people might be shocked I didn't have this in my collection already, but I finally got it. After all, one of the best supergroups in all of music. After all, you got Phil from Pantera, Kirk from Crowbar, I believe Rex from Pantera, Pepper from COC, and I forget the drummer and where he came from, but yeah, can't go wrong with some good old-fashioned Down, some of that very psychedelic, stonery vibes, but on top of like sludge metal, southern rock inspired music. Yeah, I might get the rest of Down's discography at some point, but yeah, Down Nola. And now we get into another new boy, and that is Frozen Soul with Crypt of Ice. Yeah, their new album coming out next month. I probably will end up picking that up. You know I'm going to review it when it comes out. But yeah, Crypt of Ice, like, I didn't get into checking out this album until much later in 2021. But I gave it a listen, and it made my year-end list for 2021. Fantastic debut for an upcoming Texas death metal band. Bolt thrower worship done very, very well. Cold thrower, as it's been called. And actually, a little inside scoop for you guys. I might be in talks with getting Sam, the bassist from Frozen Soul, on the Horseman podcast once Frozen Soul finish up their upcoming tour, which I'm looking forward to that since she's a badass bassist, and yeah, that's going to be a fun conversation. But yeah, Frozen Soul, Crypt Device. If you are a fan of Bolt Thrower, you will definitely dig this. If you haven't listened to it already. Chances are you probably have, but in case you haven't, check it out in some way, shape, or form. But now on to another cheap one, and that is The Haunted with One Kill Wonder. So now I have the first 3 Haunted albums in my collection. I could decide to get this one kind of on a whim, just because, like, the only track I've really listened to off of this album is their cover of Candlemass, Well of Souls, which that is an insane cover, taking a doom metal song and making it into a thrash metal song, which you wouldn't think that would work, but somehow they make it work and sound aggressive and brutal as fuck. But yeah, I definitely need to check out the rest of this album at some point, just because, you know, I love me some Haunted, and Ola England, one of my favorite YouTubers to watch on occasion. But yeah, The Haunted One Kill Wonder. Now we're on to another pair, and that is, of course, High Command with Beyond the Wall of Desolation and Eclipse of the Dual Moons. I already did a review on this album. This was on my year-end list for 2022. Killer thrash metal. I know a lot of people say it's crossover thrash. I think it's more blackened thrash, if anything else. I haven't listened to the debut Beyond the Wall of Desolation yet. Like I said with a lot of these albums, I'm trying to play catch up as much as I can. It's just there are also albums I still love that I listen to, as well as trying to catch up with what's coming out nowadays. But at some point I'll definitely give this a listen. Now for this, I absolutely love this album. If you want to know my full opinion on it, look up my review for this album and you'll understand how much I love it. But yeah, High Command. Now we're about to get into a bunch of repeats. We get some Iron Maiden albums. So first we have Live After Death, 1985, the World Slavery Tour, when they were touring on Power Slave. Of course, this is definitely the thickest, one of the thickest. Senjutsu's pretty thick in terms of the size of the packaging, but yeah, Live After Death, considered one of the greatest live albums in the history of metal. I definitely wanted to get it because I love me some Iron Maiden. And then we get into the 2 Blaze Bayley albums, X Factor and Virtual 11. I'm saving my overall thoughts on these albums because Iron Maiden is going to be the next band that I'm going to rank after Immolation. So I'm trying to save my thoughts about them until then. But yeah, definitely not very appreciated albums to a lot of fans of Iron Maiden because, after all, Bruce Dickinson is Iron Maiden and Blaze Bayley, mixed feelings, but I'll explain more when we get to ranking them. But yeah, so the 2 Blaze Bayley albums. But then we get into the later stuff. We got Dance of Death. Yeah, the worst album cover in Maiden's history. The CGI, terrible usage of it. But the songs absolutely stand out. Songs like Passchendaele, the title track, Journeyman. Really good stuff here. And then I got The Final Frontier. So yeah, this album, songs like The Talisman, El Dorado, but for me, When the Wild Wind Blows. Mwah. So now I pretty much have the entire Iron Maiden discography in my possession now, which it's about time. I've been wanting to get all of Maiden forever, but always kept leaving my head, but now they're all mine. And now we talk about another band that I'm getting pretty close to completing the discography of, and that's Judas Priest, which, according to the polls on my community tab, it looks like they're going to be the band that I'm going to rank later in the year. But yeah, we got Priest Live 87, so this was on the Turbo Tour, double disc set. And the only reason I decided to get this was to complete the remasters collection spine thing, where it makes on each album spine the Trident logo, and on the bottom say Judas Priest. So now I have all the 2001 remasters in my collection. And then we get to one of the controversial ones, and that's Jugulator, the Tim Ripper Owens era. So yeah, the only one I'm missing now from Priest is Demolition, and that one's going to be hard to find, and that also is not very loved of an album. But I still might get it just to complete the Priest collection. But Jugulator, I think, is a really good album. Maybe the most underrated Priest album, arguably. Cathedral Spires alone makes this album. And then, of course, the last one, Angel of Retribution. This is one I've been needing to get for a long time, and this is a special edition that comes with a bonus DVD of a live documentary from their reunited tour of 2004 and live tracks. But yeah, Angel of Retribution, pretty good comeback. You'll know my opinions about it more in depth later in the year. But yeah, that's all the Judas Priest I got. Next up, we get into some crossover thrash madness with Municipal Waste, The Art of Partying. Yeah, shocked that I didn't have this in the collection before, but I was basically bugged into getting it from one of my friends on Instagram. But, hey, she's happy I got it, and I'm happy I got it too. After all, Municipal Waste is a fun band. Definitely not my favorite thrash band, but they're really, really good. After all, their new album, Electrified Brain, was pretty solid. But yeah, Art of Partying, such a fun album. Beer Pressure alone just makes this a hilarious album. But yeah, short, sweet, and to the fucking point. Municipal Waste. And now we got a pair here from My Dying Bride. We have their first two albums, As the Flower Withers and Turn Loose the Swans. Now, As the Flower Withers, this is definitely the most death metal oriented album of My Dying Bride's discography. Well, Death Doom, but it's more... when it comes down to their Death Doom style, this is the most Death Doom they ever were. Like, not as much of the gothic stuff that you would get on Turn Loose the Swans going forward. But yeah, definitely somber, but heavy and dark. Meanwhile, Turn Loose the Swans basically picks up where this leaves off, but adds more of those gothic metal influences and becoming one of the pioneers of the UK gothic metal scene. But yeah, songs like The Songless Bird, absolutely untouchable on here. But yeah, My Dying Bride is a band that I've slept on for a long time and definitely need to check out more of their stuff. But yeah, I got the first two in my possession now. So now, moving on to another compilation, and that is Roadrunner United, the All-Star Sessions. So yeah, I was watching the documentary making of this on YouTube so much, I decided, fuck it, how about I just get the whole album? And yeah, Roadrunner definitely nowadays, nowhere near where they were even back in 2005. Like, there are only 3 bands on Roadrunner right now that are worth a damn, and that's Gojira, Trivium, and Unto Others. Even Slipknot's gone from Roadrunner too. But yeah, this was the 25th anniversary compilation that Monty Connor came up with to have musicians from past and present Roadrunner bands collaborate on songs. And you had the 4 team captains. You had Dino Cazares from Fear Factory, Rob Flynn from Machine Head, Matt Hafey from Trivium, and Joey Jordison of Slipknot, getting all sorts of people on here from bands like Suffocation, Opeth, King Diamond, Cradle of Filth, Exhorder, Killswitch Engage, let's see, Typo Negative, among so many bands that have been on Roadrunner a time or two in the past. But yeah, definitely songs that stand out for me on here are songs like Annihilation by the Hands of God, In the Fire, Blood and Flames, Roads, Dawn of a Golden Age, just Constitution Down. There's just so many unique songs. Like, it goes everywhere from new metal to death metal to black metal to thrash metal, prog even at times, stoner metal. just goes all over the map. It just goes to show you how much talent the four captains do have when it comes to songwriting. So yeah, definitely check this out if you're curious. Alright, we're getting close to the end. Next up, we get another thrasher that I'm shocked I didn't have in my collection, and that's Toxic Holocaust with an Overdose of Death. So yeah, songs like War is Hell and Nuke the Cross, untouchable thrash songs from the late 2000s. But yeah, Joel Grind doing basically everything, vocals, guitar, bass, and drums, and just killing it. It's absolutely incredible, and I could definitely see how bands like Midnight and Hellripper are compared to a band like Toxic Holocaust for that like one-man approach to the studio albums, but having a backing band for touring. But yeah, Toxic Holocaust. Now we're about to get black metal, the one black metal album I have for this update, and that's Shooter with Desert Northern Hell. So yeah, I got into this one after watching like compilation videos about metal genres and seeing the song Unholy Paragon pop up in one of them. I decided to give this album a listen, and wow. Some of the best Norwegian black metal I have ever heard. Like, that song Unholy Paragon just has so much going on. It's got little hints of death metal in there, and even playing the fucking classic riff to Metallica 1. Which is really fucking cool. Morbid Lust, 11.5 minutes of just black metal insanity. Even a really good cover of Bathory's Sacrifice is on here too. But yeah, I know they got a new album coming out towards the end of May, which I will definitely review. So yeah, Shooter. And now we finish off with two more pairs. First we have Undeath, Legions of a Different Kind, and It's Time to Rise from the Grave. So yeah, definitely another modern death metal band that's really gaining momentum and just absolutely killing it. I haven't listened to Legions of a Different Kind yet. I did listen to and review this last year, and I thought this was a really killer album. I believe it made my year-end list for 2022. So yeah, definitely Undeath, showcasing that classic groovy death metal is still alive and well. So yeah, check out Undeath if you haven't. And then for my final pair, we got another upcoming death metal band, and that's Sweden's Wretched Fate. We have Fleshletting and Carnal Heresy. So yeah, whenever you think Swedish death metal, you think the HM2 guitar tone. This is definitely that. It's definitely like more, more akin to a band like Bloodbath more than, say, Entombed. There are some Entombed moments, but it's mostly Bloodbath worship. Hell, even on Fleshletting, they do a cover of Ways to the Grave, which I haven't listened to this one yet. Meanwhile, this one I did review when it came out, and it's up there among my favorite albums of 2023 thus far. So yeah, definitely check out Wretched Fate if you are a fan of most especially Bloodbath or just Swedish boss HM2 death metal in general. You will definitely dig these bands. Or this band. Blech. But anyways, that does it for a collection update. So yeah, we had a lot to go over. And like I said, this is the last update I'm doing for a little while, because vacation and also other stuff going on. But I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all these albums in the video. Thank you all for watching. Horns high, and keep your dreams wet.